How I got into design and basically why I got into the idea of self-production. I came into design from a civil engineering background. When I got accepted at the Royal College of Art to do a master's in design, I had a very brief 2-year design education that left me with 2 very conceptual projects. The message cups that you see here are recording and playback beakers that are used for the exchange of messages inside the domestic environment. So when you want to leave a message to somebody that you share the house with, you pick up their cup, you talk to it, then you put it upside down on the table. And so when the person comes home, finds the cup facing down, and by simply turning it up to an upright position, then they hear the message. I felt a little bit like a door-to-door magician. I started going around different design consultancies in search of a job, while at the same time I was trying to convince manufacturers to go for my ideas. I have to say that the process was extremely draining. To involve manufacturers on that level, it was an endless screening process, and also the project soon became the victims of internal politics. So at that point, I decided that I had to stick to what I believe in and continue developing my thoughts, and that the only way forward was self-production. This is a series of occasional tables. This bedside table is an alarm clock, and it's a metal table that has 2 legs that are shorter than the others. Below the metal lid is a clock face. Then you move the hands to the time that you want to wake up in the morning, and then put the lid back on. So when that time comes, the table starts vibrating. So it rocks from side to side, and then it wakes you up in the morning. Then this one is called weekend table. So when you want to have a good night's sleep, it muffles the noisy objects. So you put them underneath in that floating bag. This one is called weekend 2. So it has a removable felt suit. Well, this is a nest of display tables for showing off a book that you happen to be reading at the time. Or the table light. Table mirror, which plays with the vanity of the user. And then finally the thermometer table that changes color according to subtle changes in temperature in the room. This design is based from a very ancient trick vessel. It's called the Pythagoras' cup, and is believed to have been shared by Pythagoras with his students. It was to moderate drinking. So what happens is when you fill in the cup with alcohol, the idea is that you can only fill it up to a certain level. You don't know what that level is. So when you go over that level, then the whole content of the cup empties from the bottom. The antisocial light is a living room light that glows only when there is absolute silence. So when you talk around it, then the light starts dimming down until eventually it switches off. And then there is the other light, which is called the social light, which is a light that you need to talk to in order to maintain its glow. Around that time, I met with Bijoy Jain from Studio Mumbai. He invited me to come to India and participate in a lot of his projects. It was a very inspiring moment for me because I was very intrigued by the process with which things would happen. It was a very spontaneous act almost, like when you needed an object that you couldn't get your hands on, the only way to do it was to make it yourself. So that reinforced my idea of self-production. So I started traveling a lot to India, and then Bijoy's interiors became the perfect settings for my objects to inhabit. The ball light that you see here is in the Palmyra house. That's in the Utsav house, from what I believe. The tube chandelier. These are extremely beautiful settings. And the CFL light. That's Bella Valley house. In 2007, I established Michael Anastassiades, the production side of my company. The idea was to increase and scale up my production from small runs into unlimited production. I started traveling around the world in search of family-run workshops. I was looking for interesting processes, an interesting use and technique in the use of materials. And we launched the first collection. It was a handful of objects that was basically characterized with honestly expressed materials that reinforced the simplicity of their design. The glass work was mouth blown. These are the mirror glasses. The stonework was hand carved. These are a series of meditation stools that come in different sizes, so you sit on them. The onyx light, which is carved from a single block of onyx. Or a ball vase. The beauty mirror, which is a vanity mirror. It comes in silver and in gold-plated. The mobile chandeliers are this series of light fixtures that are in perfect equilibrium. They come in different designs, and the idea behind it is that you can position them in different orientations. Some of these lights have motors which basically enable the rotation, an electrical rotation of the arms individually, as you can see here. And this one is a floor-standing one that was launched last year. The faceted table made in solid American walnut. The corner mirrors, which is made out of curved glass and a wooden frame. The idea behind them was more like to reflect light inside a room. or the copper mirrors that are sculptures that actually come out of the wall. The bronze rings, a series of finger jewelry that are positioned between fingers. Lit Lines was a collection of light fixtures that was inspired very much by India. It was designed for Nilufar Gallery, a Milan-based gallery, and they were launched during the International Furniture Fair last year. I was very inspired with the way that fluorescent tubes are used in India. They are everywhere that you, when you look around, they're part of the architecture, they're hanging from trees, they are tied onto buildings, they're encased in these plastic casings and some metal brackets. And what is beautiful about them was when actually the night falls and all these ugly casings completely disappear. So all that remains is these bright silhouettes. When you move around, sometimes you start to recognize some familiar objects, and just at the point when you think you've recognized something, the angle changes and everything becomes ambiguous. In a collaborative piece, again with Studio Mumbai, we were asked by the Victoria and Albert Museum to design a structure for contemplation. It was to be built on a 1-to-1 scale. We were very much inspired by by Mumbai's illegal dwellings, and basically homes that were built in between two architectural buildings, two buildings basically. In specific, there was this very long 7-foot wide corridor right behind the offices of Studio Mumbai that were sandwiched between the boundary wall of the compound. We isolated one particular home of 7 people. It was a family home that incorporated a tree. And we made a plaster cast replica, and we positioned it inside the V&A amongst these amazingly fine fragments of historic architecture. The guests were invited to walk around as well as occupy the inside of the structure. What we wanted to communicate with this project was that poetic space can exist in the most constrained and restricted environments. So once you remove all the clutter, the spaces are actually very beautiful. In another project, we were invited by the Serpentine Gallery in London to participate in a traveling exhibition called Indian Highway that opened first in Lyon, in France. So we located these very beautiful, very small shops in Bangalore, and we made a 1-to-1 scale replica of these spaces with using cement board. And we reproduced absolutely everything, the furniture and every single detail. They were really amazingly made by the craftsmen of Studio Mumbai. We often get very beautiful settings offered to exhibit our work. This one is again in the Victoria and Albert Museum, in the music room, and it was on during the Design Festival in 2010, and is part of the Kinetic Light series. And it's actually a pendulum that swings from side to side inside this 4.5 meter tall wooden cabinet. Last year, during the Design Festival, we were offered this Victorian jewelry store in Knightsbridge to showcase our work. What was amazing about this setting was I was very surprised that the objects themselves looked very much part of the interior, as if that they were designed to fit that space. And in May 2012, the Museum of Applied Arts in Vienna, called MAC, invited me to design an exhibition at Guy Müllerschloss, which is a Biedermeier period building. It's a very beautiful room. It's a very beautiful house. So what's next? Well, what really matters with this independent way of working is this incredible sense of freedom that allows you to think that anything is possible. What I'd like to do in the future is to continue producing interesting work and actually being able to bring magical projects onto a commercial level. I'd like to end my talk with a series of slides from a collaborative piece of work that I designed with Anthony Dunn and Fiona Raby from the Royal College of Art that run the interaction design. The project is called Design for Fragile Personalities in Anxious Times. And basically it's a series of objects that help you get over contemporary fears and phobias. Priscilla, which is a huggable atomic explosion, helps you get over the fear of nuclear war. And all these huggable mushrooms, they were actually modeled from pictures that we found from experimental explosions that happened in the 50s and 60s. Seminole is a floor cushion with a mohair knitted cover. The Hideaway Furniture pieces are pieces to hide inside from the fear of being abducted. They disguise themselves on the floor, so it's the same material as you can see, and open in very intriguing ways. The idea behind them is that you occupy these in interesting positions. So this one is inspired from Goya's Maya. For this one, you lie on your back with your hands behind your head and your legs up. And this is in the open position. For this one, you lie on your side with your elbow on the floor and your head on your hand, resting your head on your hand. The Statistical Clock is an electronic device that connects to the internet and basically scans live news data. So it looks for fatalities, basically different types of accidents that cause human deaths. There are different channels that you tune in. There is a knob that you turn. So if you turn it onto plane crashes, if you have a phobia for planes, if an accident happens and people get killed, then basically the news are scanned and the device finds out, and then it starts reading numbers from 1 to 200 announcing the number of deaths. This one is called perfect alignment. It's again an electronic box that you plug into the wall socket. And the idea behind it is when you buy this item, you type in your time and place of birth. And so what it does, it scans your astrological data, and it's looking for perfect moments for you to act upon love. So if that moment comes, and it's only if it comes in your life, then this box explodes in your living room, and this inflatable structure, which is a crystal, blows up. This one is an object to cure the sex addict. So you hold this very long silicone rubber bar that senses your excitement through galvanic skin response and basically pixelates the porn movie that you happen to be watching. And finally, the risk watch, which whispers from the level of risk from numbers from 1 to 5 when you place it on your ear. And basically it tells you the level of risk at that particular location, whether it's social risk or political risk or economic risk. So thank you very much.